So a couple of weeks ago on social media, this bike was absolutely everywhere because it was the official launch of this. I think they went to Portugal to ride this bike. And the bike, of course, we're talking about is the new for 2024 Yamaha XSR900 GP. And it's a bike that harps back to older motorcycles of the 1980s, 1990s, and everybody on that launch was saying how amazing the bike was, how incredible it looked, and how it just reminded them of bikes from their past. Now, I have to say, I didn't get into riding until 2011, so bikes before then mean nothing to me. So I don't have the sort of rose-tinted retro feel about this bike that those other journos and YouTubers had on the launch. I have to say, when I first saw pictures of this bike, I just thought the thing looked bulbous and pretty horrible. Hey kids, it's Mr. Fla here, hope you're well, and welcome back to the channel with this exclusive first ride review. I must start off by saying thank you very much indeed to Yamaha UK for lending this bike to me as the first UK motor vlogger to actually ride the bike. I don't go to bike launches for various reasons, and one of the reasons is I just don't think testing a bike in sunny climates is that relevant for those of us that ride bikes on UK roads, you know, with our potholes, with our weather and so on. I'd far rather ride the bikes, you know, in their, what to me will be the natural habitat, the local lanes around where I live. Before we get too into how the bike rides, let's just take a look at this thing, shall we? Because this thing is all about the looks. Okay, let's take a look at this tremendous motorcycle, shall we? I've really changed my views on this bike since I've seen it in the flesh. Here she is then, starting at the front. Now the front end does look a bit bulbous, I have to say, but I'm kind of forgiving it that, because overall the bike looks beautiful when you see it for real in the sunshine. I love these red wheels. These lowers don't come as standard, by the way. These cost extra. I'll talk about that when we go through the specs, but I just think that finishes off the bike nicely. Back end, quite like this swinging arm on here. Don't like the exhaust. It just sort of exits at the bottom there. Very, very strange indeed. I think there's a sports pack where you can get an Akropovich, which actually comes up the back, looks like a proper exhaust. I think I'd definitely do that. This back end I really don't like. This is like a breadboard or bread bin stuck on the back. But again, I understand why Yamaha have done it. Certainly if you are one of those rose-tinted spectacle types, there'll be lots of little cues on here that remind you of other bikes from the past. I do like this tank pad, and I like the sculpted way they've done the tank. You can get your knees in there. And I like these brace points here as well on the windscreen to stop it flapping about. But yeah, overall, I think Yamaha are to be applauded. A really nice looking machine. All right, before we get into the ride, I must just give you this message from our sponsors. Oh, cool looking bike, man. Wow, so expensive though. If only there was a way I could find out more about the machine so I knew I wasn't buying a dud.
Are you thinking about buying a second-hand motorbike? Are you worried about splashing out your hard-earned cash on a donkey?
I am.
Would you like a service that could tell you whether that dream bike has been clocked, crashed, stolen, or otherwise?
I'd absolutely love it.
Well then, you need CarVertical.
So, you may have heard of CarVertical from other YouTube channels or elsewhere, but did you know it doesn't just protect you when you buy a new car, but motorcycles too? Let me show you how. Okay, let me show you how this works using my iPhone, because then you can see exactly what I'm looking at on the screen. So if I pull up the report on, let's say a Triumph T100 that I'm interested in buying. Let's pull it up now. The report loads from CarVertical. Here it comes. And there we go, Triumph Bonneville T100. This is the bike that I'm interested in. Immediately I can see here, look, on the headlines under odometer, financial and legal status and damage, we can see that we've got a yellow on odometer in this case. So if I hit odometer, there we go, it shows us that this vehicle may have fake mileage. And then if we look at this graph here, look, you can see that it's been going up steadily. These sort of things are picked up from MOT records, that sort of stuff. And then we can see in the last one, it's gone down, indicating that maybe it's been wound back a little bit. So there's some questions to ask on this bike. If you're going to buy this, how come the mileage has gone down over the last few things? Or better still, maybe avoid this one and find another bike altogether. So in short, CarVertical is a super useful way of giving yourself some sort of peace of mind before you pull the trigger on buying that second-hand motorcycle purchase. Now the good news is I can get you 20% off of CarVertical if you use the code FLYER when you request your reports. I'll stick a link below in the description of the video. Click on that one and you'll get an extra discount, or indeed I'll put a link below in the comments below as well, so you can click on that one too if you want to. So all that remains to be said is thank you very much indeed to CarVertical for sponsoring this video. That's the end of the advert. Let's get back to the video. Right, welcome back to part 2. We've had a look at the bike. Let's get on it, ride it, and get on with the review. Okay, let's get into the ride then on the XSR900 GP. And the thing that first strikes you with this bike, as it does on most bikes, is the riding position and the comfort on the bike. And I say comfort in inverted commas because this is a sports bike and it feels like a sports bike when you ride it. Now, of course, I've ridden plenty of modern sports bikes, not so many retros, one or two. There was the BMW R9T Racer, wasn't there, which was absolutely horrendous in terms of its riding position and was discontinued, I think, probably pretty much as a result of that. And then of course there's the Triumph, isn't there, the Speed Triple, can't remember what it's called now, but you know the one I mean. Again, beautiful looking bike, but just so uncomfortable and impractical to ride. So, you know, does this suffer from the same issues? Well, to a degree, yes, it does. It's not particularly comfortable in that you are in that sports bike position, but what I would say is it's not extreme. It's not as extreme as those two bikes I've mentioned, or is it as extreme as, say, my old Panigale by any means. You are leant forward, there is weight on your wrists, and your knee is at an acute angle. Hopefully on the 360 camera, if it's still attached, you'll see here the angle that my leg's at. I actually find that quite comfortable, so the leg, no problem at all. These sort of clip-on handlebars, I say sort of clip-on because they sort of clip up, look, they're not on the forks, they're on the top of the forks and then rise a little bit. Aren't too bad actually in terms of comfort. You can sort of sit up if you want to and give yourself a bit of a rest. Let's pull the clutch in and try that. There you go, look, I'm sort of upright there, so you can have a bit of a stretch if you want to. But that said, it is a sporty riding position and the seat isn't that comfy. It's quite hard, there's not a lot of padding there, but you can move around on it. Look, you can get right back and down onto the tank if you want to do the full-on sports bike thing, or you can sit a bit more upright in the middle bit. So I think it will suit a variety of size people. I'm 5'8", middle-sized sort of fella, and it's pretty good for me to move around on, I have to say. The other great thing is the way they've designed the tank. I can grip it with my knees pretty well, and it means that that does take some of the pressure off my wrists. So yeah, it's a bit wristy, but it's not terrible. It's way better than the Triumph Speed, whatever it was, and the R9T Racer. Way better than those. It's more like a comfortable modern day sports bike. Think, I don't know, S1000 RR, that sort of thing. Certainly you can live with it. Not entirely sure you want to go touring on it, but yeah, certainly for, you know, an hour or two blast, I don't see it being a problem. So what are you looking at when you're riding the bike? Well, you're looking at a really nice forward view actually. Got the TFT on here, which they've done a great job on because they've done it in a retro way. I often complain about retro bikes that have TFTs, so the Triumphs and so on. I'd rather have dials, and in the main I would rather have dials, but if you've got to have a TFT, and I understand why manufacturers want them, then this is a nice one, isn't it? It's nice and clear, and I love the way they've actually put an analog dial on there. It looks really good. Switch it on. The other thing, when you're looking down at the instrumentation zone, that I actually quite love are these struts here, these supports, very reminiscent of older bikes. I've said I don't have a retro angle on this, but I recognise that those come from bikes from yesteryear, and it's dead handy for mounting my GoPro. Right, I'm just going to have a little whiz down one of my favourite little twisty yet bumpy roads, see how she handles. It's only a short section, but it is fun. This triple engine is beautiful in here. Oh, let's get over these potholes. See if my 360 is still attached. Yes, it is. Right, here we go then. Oh, it's got a raucous note from the exhaust. Oh, lovely. Actually, this weight over your wrists means that the turning is beautiful. Yeah, proper sports bike this. Man, suspension's a little bit hard, but then again, it's a sports bike, what do you expect? But it's not filling rattlingly hard. But it does handle beautifully. Now what you don't know is I've already ridden the MT-09, which this bike is loosely based on, same engine and so on. And I absolutely love that bike. That review's coming up later on, I think in June. But this reminds me, of course, of that bike because it shares that same CP3 engine. Okay, here goes another little chance for a bit of a razz. Oh, wowzer, yeah, this is great. Just because it's a retro, don't think it's not a sports bike. This is a proper sports bike in a retro frock. I love it. And I don't know what they've done to the standard exhaust on here, at least I think there's a standard one, but it sounds really good. It sounds better than the MT-09 for sure. Oh, what a lovely thing. Vans up ahead. It wouldn't be a TMF review without some vans, would it? And what a lovely day to be riding. Anyway, while I'm stuck behind the vans, let's just have a look at the switchgear here, which is again very much the same as on the current MT-09. They've redesigned it for the 2024 model year, and it's quite chunky. In the main, I quite like the way they've got a joystick here. I often complain about joysticks, but this one works quite well to get through the functions on the TFT. What I'm not so keen on is the big indicator button. That's new. You kind of have to press it in the direction you want to go, and you have to press that again to cancel. I mean, you get used to it, but I kind of don't like it. That was a problem that didn't need fixing. And then on the right hand side, just your start, stop and your mode button. It's all very easy to use. The mirrors on here, unlike any mirrors I've ever ridden with, attached, they are bar end, but sports bike bar end mirrors. Look, they work really well actually. They are out the way. I quite like them. Oh, this is so confidence inspiring on the corners. It's brilliant. Alright, while I'm stuck behind these vans, let me take you through the spec on this machine. Right, let's whiz through the specs then, starting as ever with the engine. This is the 890cc CP3 triple, putting out 117 brake horsepower. That's 119 PS if you're in the new money, and 67 foot-pound of torque, or 93 newton meters. And it is a lovely motor, same as you find on the MT-09. Brakes on the front come courtesy of 298mm discs with 4-pot calipers. On the rear, a 245mm disc with a single-pot caliper. Suspension on the front comes courtesy of these KYB shocks, which are fully adjustable. They're 41mm. And at the back, nestling in there, we've got this yellow adjustable KYB monoshock. Seat height on the bike is 835mm, so it's quite high. Wet weight of the machine, 200 kilograms, so actually quite light as bikes go. Tank capacity on the XSR900 GP, 14 litres. Electronics on the bike, well, it comes with loads of stuff. This 5-inch sort of analogue TFT, for want of a better word. Loads of ride arrays, thanks to the 6-axis IMU. Check out the Yamaha website for all the details of things like SES, BSR, QSS, cornering ABS. You know, it's got all sorts of connectivity, cruise control. Check out the website for all the details of that stuff. The price of the standard bike comes in at £12,506 UK pounds. This one, as I mentioned earlier, has the lower fairing on it, which I just think finishes it off. You may think otherwise. That's £599 and comes with that sort of bigger belly pan bit as well. Alternative, you can buy the racer accessory pack. That comes in at an additional £3,000 quid, but that gives you the fairings as well as the Kropovich exhaust and some other bits and pieces as well. Probably well worth doing, and then we'll bring the total price up to £15,500. Okay, welcome back aboard the XSR900 GP, a bike that I am really enjoying riding, I have to say. Unfortunately, I didn't lose the vans whilst we were going through the specs, so I'm just going to check behind me. Let's just try the brakes out on this thing. Now, it stops very quickly indeed. Let's just try that again. Lovely quick shift on here, by the way. Oh wow, yeah, that is eye-poppingly quick stopping power from the front brake. Nothing behind still. Let's just try the rear out of interest. Yeah, rear's pretty good, but the ABS quickly cuts in. Yeah, so bike goes and stops very well. Gearbox on here, by the way, is lovely. The quick shifter is so smooth. It's a joy. It's both up and down. Really nice. Let's go down, yeah, through the boxes. It's got just the right delay about it. Doesn't make you lurch when you change gear. It's just nice and smooth. They can certainly make a decent quick shifter, can Yamaha. Yeah, this is a nice bike to ride. Can't really see too many downsides of this, I have to say. So the question is, I guess, would I rather have this than, say, the R7 that I rode, a Yamaha sports bike, modern sports bike? I did like that bike. Difficult to say. Would I rather have this than a rumoured MT09 base sports bike, modern one. Again, difficult to say, you'd have to ride it to find out, wouldn't you? Would I rather have this than the standard XSR900? Absolutely 100%. I'm not a big fan of the looks of the XSR900, and I have to say, although when I started the video I said that I didn't like the bulbous looks of this when I first saw it in pictures, when you see it for real in the flesh, it really is a lovely thing actually, and it has completely grown on me in terms of the looks. I thought I was the only one that just thought this thing was ugly. In fact, my original title for the video was going to be something like, am I the only one, or just fugly question mark. But actually, I completely get it now. It turns really well. I'm a little bit careful down here. Need to find me some better, twistier, faster roads rather than these slow country lanes. Ah, this is the perfect bike for back lane blasting on a warm Sunday afternoon. You cannot help but ride this bike and have a grin on your face, I tell you. So yeah, what can I think about this bike? I hate giving reviews where it's all glowing. Is there anything about it I don't like? Well, this riding position I think would become old after a full day in the saddle. But as I said at the start, it's not that bad. It's not that uncomfortable. The handle was actually for clip-on style bars, let's call them that. They're not that low. They're not that extreme. They're actually quite wide. It helps you turn the bike. But you have got that useful bit of weight over the front wheel. It just makes that turning that little bit more sporty. And I like the fact that for me, I can grip the tank a treat. Obviously that depends on how big you are and whether your legs fit, but it certainly fits my frame a treat. Do you know, I can't think, other than that, the riding position, there's nothing about this bike I don't like. Even the looks that I thought I absolutely hated, I now absolutely love. It's funny how you can change your opinion on a bike when you ride it, isn't it? And it really is a nice thing. The things I particularly like about it are the engine, the way it goes and the way it sounds. It sounds great. The brakes are superb, and for the first time in a long time I really love that TFT. I think it's brilliant. And of course, as I've said, the styling of the bike has now completely converted me. I'm a convert to it. It's a lovely looking thing, particularly in the sunshine. These colours really pop. So I've got this bike for a few days. Super lucky to be able to spend the time getting to know the bike over the next few days, which I intend to do. I think I'm in there. Nope. Oh, just checking I've still got the 360. It's moved, but it's still hanging on. I better check that in a second. But what I intend to do is one of my more in-depth reviews, which will come up in the next few weeks on the channel, where I ride the bike in some different conditions, on different roads at night, that sort of thing. Maybe take it on a motorway. Just see what the bike's like to live with. And I'll bring you my more in-depth conclusions as a result. I heard something fall then. Was that me 360? No, it's still hanging on. So if you are interested in the XSR900 GP, stick around, stay tuned to the channel, and I'll bring you that in-depth review as soon as I can. In the meantime, I'm going to just enjoy this wonderful bike on these amazing roads on this wonderful day, and just enjoy the grin that it's put on my face, which is the most important thing about a motorcycle, isn't it? It has to put a grin on your face, and this absolutely does that in spades. If you're interested in the kit I'm wearing, stick around to the very end of the video. I will do one of my fashion segments. I'm in a different retro jacket to what I normally wear, and I know people will be asking me what's that kit you're wearing, so stick around to the end of the video to see that if you're interested. And if you haven't been along to my channel before, it would be great if you consider hitting the subscribe button. I don't just do bike reviews here on the Listen and Flyer, but I do trips and tours at home and abroad, bits and pieces about looking after your bike in the garage, monthly bike news, the odd live stream, you name it, I try and cover it here on the Listen and Flyer. It'd be great to have you along. Alright, as I come into some traffic areas, I think we'll call it a day for now. Keep your eyes pinned for that next review, the in-depth one on the bike. I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, this has been the Listen and Flyer. Cheerio.
Hey kids, we're the Missing the Flyers.
Right, thanks for sticking around to the bitter end of the video and the now infamous fashion segment. Let me take you through my ensemble from head to toe. So start with my trusty Schubert C5 helmet. I think it looks great as kind of a sports bike looking helmet, but also is a flip top. So you get all the advantages of a flip up top helmet. It's also got all the latest approvals, ECE 22.06, which is the one that you need. If you want to buy one of these, this one is in the master yellow colour scheme. This one comes in at £589.99, but you can get cheaper ones if you go for the white one, which I also have, by the way, which I think stands out well when you're on maybe on a tour or whatever. Okay, that's the helmet. Next up, my trusty TMF neck buff. Try not to mess up the microphones. I do it £8 from my website. That's www.themissingtheflyer.com. Check that out. The new thing for this video that you haven't seen before is this new track leather jacket. This comes from Segura, and which I think are a French brand. Well, it's just a lovely retro style jacket. I thought it would work well on this bike. It works well on my Kawasaki and so on. It's comfy. It's got a zip out thermal liner. It's got CE elbow and shoulder pads, and it comes in at, price wise, I wrote this down, £399.99. Oh, by the way, it's buffalo and leather construction, CE approved. Shoulder protectors and elbow protectors, or loads of pockets too, which is a good thing about it. So I'll put a link below to the jacket if you're interested. Next up are my PMJ De jeans. You've seen these many times. These are single layer AAA rated jeans. I wear these on the bike all the time, and indeed round the house as my normal jeans. These will come in at £239.99. Again, I'll put a link below to these. And then last but not least, my Falco Gordon 2 boots. These get a lot of love on my videos. I wear them as day-to-day footwear as well as on the bike, and they come in at £209.99. Again, I'll put a link below to that. So if you follow any of those links, just for full disclosure, they are what are called affiliate links. If you click on them, it'll take you to Sports Bike Shop, and if you then buy something, I get a little bit of a kickback at no extra cost to you. And I must say I find Sports Bike Shop have excellent returns, excellent prices, things like that. If you don't want to buy online, then go and check out where your local dealer could be for these items via www.bikerheads.co.uk. All right, that's it for this time. Speak to you soon.